Tonight on News 5 Live, the UDP remains without a successor to Prime Minister Barrow. The National Trade Union Congress of Belize takes over the city as it stages a successful rally against corruption and other scandals in government. A group of UB students at the Belmopan campus walk out of classes and head to the city to support the unions. A lifeguard was in the right place at the right time when he saved a senior citizen from drowning in an isolated area in Belize City. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
The Belize Bank introduced
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, February 20th. I am Marlene Cuellar. The National Trade Union Congress of Belize held a successful demonstration in Belize City today. But 50 miles away in Belmopan, the United Democratic Party held a conclave. The meeting between Prime Minister Dean Barrow and standard bearers took place in the backdrop of their current leadership crisis. Deep and bitter divisions continue to plague the UDP as a struggle is being waged between the Saldivar and Faber camps following the convention of February 9th. As you know, the UDP's succession plan went through the window when the Saldivar scandal unraveled in a Utah court and led to his downfall 72 hours after he became leader-elect. This is the second time in recent days that the standard bearers have been called to Belmopan. And tonight, the UDP still remains without a successor to Dean Barrow. The next step is for a meeting of the National Party Council set for February 29th. Hippolyta Novello reports.
The meeting started at 10 o'clock and arriving 2 minutes before the hour was Gaspar Vega, who has re-entered the political arena as the UDP's standard bearer for Orange Rock North. He hasn't showed up for several House meetings, but like the previous one, he wasn't going to miss today's special meeting of UDP standard bearers and cabinet members. Mr. Vega, so you have officially returned to Orange Rock North, sir? And arriving casually late was Edmond Castro, the UDP standard bearer for Belize Rural North. He was the last to arrive with a prediction.
Remember I told you.
Indeed, sir.
Remember I told you.
I can't say I don't believe you. I have to believe you.
And you folks today.
And by 12:23 in the afternoon, they trickled out. Some exited from the front entrance while others escaped through the rear of the building. Rene Montero stopped dead in his tracks when he saw the cameras outside. But yet there was no white smoke billowing from the Sir Edney King building in Belmopan. There is no pope. There's no new leader-elect. Who is the new leader of the UDP, sir?
I'm sorry?
Who is the new leader of the UDP?
We have not decided on that yet.
We had a very productive meeting there. Can only good things coming from here today.
Sir, but the UDP has a leadership crisis. It just had a big convention. It has no leader.
We don't.
So who will lead? You will lead?
There is always solution to things, and we are close to that.
And the solution is in which person, sir?
If I don't tell you how you think I want to tell you.
Mr. Boots, what can you tell us about the meeting?
I need to make you know that this
You
is
know
correct. Because you are a really funny man.
So who's the new leader of the UDP?
I am Anthony Boots Martinez, Mesa. No white smoke yet, there is no pope.
So how does the UDP move
But the
forward?
decision was not for a smoke to come out. The decision was to set time frame for the new leadership convention.
The UDP's National Party Council will meet on Saturday, February 29th, where a timeline leading to another leadership convention will be defined.
NPC next week, Saturday, will be very interested. But even at the NPC, that doesn't take away that one man could say, I don't think I'm going, that they will decide opening of the application and a closing date and a convention. Hopefully, I think a convention should be held where hopefully we can get our ducks together.
Will it be an
to
endorsement
get somebody
convention?
Endorsed. We are looking forward.
An endorsement.
In real truth, I think the party is wishing for endorsement convention, but that doesn't take the rights of other candidates to put in their name. But I think we want to, in my view, it will be in the best interest of the party to have an endorsement convention.
Or we may have several persons applying for it. We just have to wait and see,
Sir, who will those persons be? Might they include John Saldivar and Patrick Faber?
I don't know, Jules, to be honest with you. The NPC will set a date for people to submit their names, and we will see what names come.
But if John Saldivar is in there, will the UDP allow that?
Well, we go through a process whenever anybody submits their name for any position in the party. So we will go through the usual process and from there make a decision.
So does the UDP have any disqualifying mechanism to prevent any candidate from going through the entire process in terms of that leadership convention?
Well, yes, we have an ethics committee that goes over every application for anyone who wants to aspire to take any position in the party.
Can you tell us some of the rules that you have to abide by?
Well, there are not specific rules per se, like you have to be this, you have to be that. They're just general guidelines, good moral character. You have to be a person who is electable. You have to be a person who has the trust of the people and the party.
But for the meantime, the UDP leadership remains in limbo. Patrick Faber is not among the favorites in the party, and John Saldivar is persona non grata to the public. So who will emerge as leader?
We are not leaderless. The leader of the United Democratic Party is the Honorable Dean Barrow, the Right Honorable Dean Barrow.
Fair.
We have a leader, and I'm sure that as challenging a position as we are right now, the PUP would do anything to be in our position right now. So I don't think we're in a bad position. We're in a transitional period, and when you go from one position to the next, there will be challenges, and that's all it is for us right now.
There was call for us as a party to look on the best candidate to put the best foot forward on behalf of the party, and the hope that we will come out of that room with a beautiful white smoke that a Pope has been emerged as the leader of the United Democratic Party.
And we'll wait and see if that will be the case on the 29th. Reporting for News 5, Hipólito Novello.
Belmopan area Representative John Saldivar is holding on to his position that he did not participate in any corrupt act with or on behalf of accused fraudster Lev Derman and Jacob Kingston. A week ago, Saldivar submitted his letter of resignation from cabinet and is no longer the Minister of National Security. But on paper, he remains the leader-elect of the UDP. That's because Saldivar has not formally resigned from the position. Saldivar says that on February 12th, he informed Prime Minister Dean Barrow and his cabinet colleagues of his decision to resign as the leader-elect of the party, but he has yet to actually do so. The party's chairman, Michael Parafit, says that there is no concern there because Saldivar has not indicated that he's challenging his resignation.
It's not a concern for me. You could take it any which way you want. You get two decent lawyers in a room and they can give you two different arguments on the same matter and they both sound good. The leader-elect, or the former leader-elect, is not indicating that he is challenging his resignation or anything to that effect. So that's not an issue for us.
So as far as you all are concerned, he has constructively resigned. I know the UDP like that term.
As far as I'm concerned, yes, he has resigned.
But on paper, he still remains as the leader-elect?
What's that?
On paper, he still remains the leader-elect?
No, in my view, he has resigned.
In your view, but the lawyers could argue.
Well, I mean, you could argue anything in court. Ask the PUP. They would like to litigate themselves into government.
Michael Parafit has been recently appointed the Minister of National Security after John Saldivar resigned from cabinet in light of the damning revelations made by Jacob Kingston in the U.S. District Court, including explosive text messages. In his address last week, Prime Minister Dean Barrow stated that the government will obtain official transcripts from the trial and order the police department to investigate Saldivar. The National Trade Union Congress of Belize, however, is demanding that an independent investigation be conducted into the allegations made against the former minister and all other named public officials. Minister of National Security Michael Parafit says an investigation is taking place.
It has already been called. It's taking place as we speak. I can tell you that as the Minister of National Security.
Independent, I guess
What
it would
is
be
independent?
not formed by the government or done by the government.
Johnny Briceño, Said Musa, and who else? Julius Esbat.
An international body.
We have appointing an international body is indicating that we have no confidence in our local authorities. I have every confidence in our local authorities. I met with the different section chiefs, Compol, head of Coast Guard, BDF, and I can tell you, outstanding Belizeans who have nothing but the best interests of Belize at heart. If they are to carry out an investigation, I trust that it will be as good, if not better, than what any other international, supposedly better organization can do.
And what about the timeline, sir, in terms of finishing that investigation?
Well, it will take as long as it has to take. It will take as short as it has to take. But investigations don't happen quickly like that. As from my experience, they will do what they have to do. And when the time is right for them to take action, they will, if any.
This morning, the streets of Belize City were seething with union members and their leaders chanting, "Only the people can save the people." The union staged a successful anti-corruption protest with a strong message to the Barrow administration, making 6 demands to end corruption. Included in the list is the implement of the UNCAC, as well as the launch of an investigation of the embattled John Saldivar. The biggest and most militant union of the umbrella organization, the Belize National Trade Union Congress, was represented in strong numbers, and the green T-shirts were prominent from start to finish. The hierarchy of the unions led the march from Constitution Park to Memorial Park, where the statements got fiery. Here's News 5's Isani Caetano with this report.
Constitution Park was the staging ground for a massive turnout of teachers and other unionists across the country who gathered here in Belize City this morning to demonstrate against corruption and other scandals that are plaguing government. Organized by the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the protest succeeded a pair of press conferences held by the umbrella organization, during which its leadership candidly criticized the Barrow administration for falling woefully short of several expectations.
This is just a start, a warming up of sorts, but we want to ensure that the people who are in the position of power can make the decisions and address the 6 points that we raised. Pay keen attention to the fact that we have full support of our membership countrywide and support from other organizations, as you can see, that have already joined in the struggle for us to change the laws, address accountability and transparency.
The effective implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, is one of the 6 demands being made by the trade unions.
You know of the 6 demands that we are making, and we stand by those 6 demands. We trust that the government and the other political parties who are hearing us will realize that what we are saying, is serious and that they must address the matters.
This demonstration comes amid a lot of perceived turmoil, if I may, within the ruling party, the government of the day, and of course everything else that's happening on a social scale. Share with us what is the position of the teachers as a collective regarding what is happening in our country today.
Well, of course they're not satisfied. You see the numbers today, and that is just saying that we are not satisfied with what is going on. We are to spend some time to make sure that the systems in our country are fixed, that our country can then proceed forward in a manner that is going to be beneficial to all of our people living in this country.
While historical comparisons can be drawn to events of the past, particularly in 2005 and 2016, when the unions came together and took an unwavering position against governments for several reasons, including transparency and accountability, today's momentum did not result in such a resolution. Quite frankly, it only serves to set the stage for what is to come should government not meet those 6 demands.
While we are here marching for good governance, we have persons in government who are right now having a meeting at Belmopan, trying to determine who is going to be the leader and how the party is going to move forward. It's as if though they're saying to us, you go ahead and you march and we will do what we want to do. That can't work. It cannot be that if you are saying that you want to have serious dialogue with us and you want to work with us, then you don't do such things. You respect us and you listen to us. And if it is that they refuse to listen, then remember that right now we are calling for reforms. Remember 2005, there were 3 R's, right? So we are the first R, reform. What comes next? We will find out.
Joining the NTUCB as a member organization is the Christian Workers Union. Under the leadership of Evan Moshyde, the CWU continues to lend its steadfast support in addressing the issues of corruption. CWU brought stevedores as well as other members to rally this morning, where Hyde was also a guest speaker.
But the reality is that big a lot of people were afraid to come out. We got a lot of people who think if you just be a nice person, avoid the troublemakers like the Union one, avoid them things like demonstration, be a good, walk the straight line, go to the office with your EAC, everything will be all right. Because we believe that corruption can't catch you when you don't get a lead plateau in your life. When you get a lead comfort zone, you want to protect that, you don't want to rock the boat. But we just don't go through an exercise. The sanctuary beer scandal never hurt the people that believe we make the money, the one that with the agent, the liar that with the work for sanctuary beer. He never hurt them. He hurt the people, honest, professional people, when they work that the Atlantic place, that then the people will lose their job overnight. No job. 60 hours, no job. They never know corruption could have come to them and hurt them the way I hurt them.
NGO Senator Osmani Salas was among two parliamentarians who came out in support of the protest and was also a speaker at today's rally.
I join my colleague in congratulating the unions. When the unions make up their mind, they will bring their members, they will bring the crowd. And I am happy to see that the unions have come together. I understand about 10 unions have come together to really deliver a message. You know, representing the NGO community, we've always stood for improved governance, improving governance. The calls that the NTUCB is making is along those lines. So I'm here to show my support, lend my support. We do need campaign finance legislation. We need to advance CAC. It's been 3 years since we signed and ratified that. It's obvious that the will is not there from the government to implement it.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
The march was well underway when a group of students staged a walkout of classes from the University of Belize in Belmopan and traveled to Belize City to participate in the demonstration. They didn't make it in time for the parade, but attended the rally at the Memorial Park. The decision by the students was triggered by a memo issued by the administration of UB stating the classes were not cancelled for today. While this morning was not like in 2005 when students were pulled out of their classes in protest of the then administration, the group of 25 students say that they are concerned about their future and that of the country. Sideli Leslie and Abby Godoy say that there are many factors that influence their decision today and that millennials, like themselves, are often afraid of using the power of their voice.
Following the memorandum yesterday, we realized that the university didn't release a statement, it didn't send an email whether or not we were going to be demonstrating, were we canceling classes. So this morning we decided, well, you know what, we didn't hear anything back, and what we really want to do is go and show our support for this movement. It's very important for every Belizean to come out here. So we decided to walk out of our classes. We just asked other students if they were willing to join us. We got a bus on our own accord, and we're just like, okay, well, we're going to Belize City, and that's what we decided to do.
How many of you guys decided to take classes?
I think it was around 25 of us, but I'm very proud of that number because that's more than one.
Why is it that we're not seeing more young people, exercise their vote?
Well, really, I think it really ties back to the education system and the way the economy is set up, because as I, have mentioned in previous interviews, the government is the biggest employer in the country, first of all, and there is a certain fear in that. Not that, there is any proof that the government would fire anybody that comes out, but, and the problem is in the education system. Most Belizeans only go up to high school. There is no implementation of teaching of how the government works, public policy, none of that. So how then can you expect an uneducated populace to act when they're not informed, they don't know? I mean, if we don't educate people, how do we expect them to act?
Coming up, we'll have more messages from the unions and NGOs in their fight against corruption. The massive national anti-corruption demonstration concluded with a rally at Memorial Park past the lunch hour. It was a first step by the unions to effect change. The Belize National Teachers Union, whose members made up majority of the protesters, is known for its fearlessness and tenacity when taking on the government. In 2016, the BNTU successfully carried out an 11-day strike against government with a 10-point demand on good governance. Its national president, Senator Elena Smith, told News 5 today that this is only a first phase of action. So what will happen next?
No, the teachers have been very instrumental in effecting certain changes, either in governance or in any other structured administration. Are we on perhaps the precipice of the unions mobilizing and galvanizing to bring about certain change, either political change or, in this case, as you've mentioned, the idea of campaign finance reform and all the other ills that are plaguing our society?
Well, this is the start of that. We made a decision that today is going to be the start because we must see change. And we are not going to give up until we see change. And so that is why I said we are right now at the point of asking them for some reforms, do certain things to make a difference. If they refuse to do that, then we move to the next step. And we have to keep pressure until they do what is right. This is not about red or blue. This is about doing what is right for country.
The unionists were joined by many others who support the call to end corruption, including the NGOs and social partners. Among them were Senators Osmani Salas and Mark Lizarraga. The senators say that they support the demands made by the umbrella organization to ensure good governance. While Lizarraga says that today's event is democracy at work, Salas says that there is need for systemic reform in government and the people need to keep pressuring government for that change.
What I've said, and I will harp on later today again, is that the politicians have become our patrons and we have become their clients. We have to turn that around. They need to be serving us. But at this stage, it's almost like we're working for them. They have mastered the art, and that's why we need campaign finance legislation. They've mastered the art to buy the elections. It's become a race of who spends the most. And that is a big part of the problem. So we as citizens, as voters, we need to be more engaged. We have to be more engaged. We need to tell our area reps or the standard bearers that are hoping to become area reps that we won't tolerate this nonsense anymore. But there shouldn't be any letdown. There was a demonstration, I believe, in 2008, and here we are again. We need to keep the pressure on. That is the only way that the politicians will listen. And there needs to be systemic change.
Today, the people of the country, especially the workers, the NGO communities, they're sending a message and saying, we want our country back, and we want our country to be a little different than the way it is now. And this is democracy. This is democracy at work. And kudos to everybody that's out here today, and we invite everybody else to come out. Because if we want to see change in our country, we have to be that change.
Representing the NGO community, we've always stood for improving governance. The calls that the NTUCB is making is along those lines. So I'm here to show my support, lend my support. We do need campaign finance legislation. We need to advance UNCAC. It's been 3 years since we signed and ratified that. It's obvious that the will is not there from the government to implement it. So this crowd here today and the rally later on is to show the government that only the people can save the people. It's all about the people.
Only the people can save the people demonstration and rally staged by the NTUCB precedes another demonstration to be held in the wake of the John Zaldivar scandal, in which the former National Security Minister admitted that he collected thousands of dollars from accused fraudster Lev Derman. On Sunday, the People's United Party will also protest in Belize City against the Barrow administration. But even as the PUP is finalizing that event, its leader, John Briceño, says that as the government in waiting, they had come out in solidarity because corruption by any administration cannot be condoned.
The plan is that on Sunday we are going to be out demonstrating, and we're inviting everybody, including the unions, social partners, everybody to come out as Belizeans. But today it's also important for me to be here, showing our solidarity with the unions. But it's also important to point out that my wife is a member of the BNTU. She's the principal of St. Peter's Anglican School. So I was here also showing support for her. At the end of the day, it's the people that decides. Whenever we have the next general elections, we expect that the people are going to come out in large numbers to not only to show their dissatisfaction and displeasure with all of the corruption and the spitefulness of the UDP government, but also that they want to vote for a better Belize. They want to vote for hope. And we are confident that the PUP represents that today.
Now, the NTUCB has made several demands to the government, which they say must be met ahead of the next general elections, expected later this year. Amongst those requests is the reconfiguring of the Public Accounts Committee and the Integrity Commission, as well as the reconvening of meetings of the UNCAC Steering Committee. The unions are also asking for an independent investigation into the alleged wrongdoing by former Minister John Zaldivar and the implementation of campaign financing laws. Leader of the opposition John Briceño says that the demands are in line with the PUP's policy reform proposals unveiled in a press conference last week.
Last week Thursday, I made those very proposals, strengthening the Auditor General's office for them to have their own budget, to be totally independent with subpoena powers and investigative power, strengthening the Integrity Commission, remove it from the control of the government, again with their independent budget and with the ability to be able to investigate any and everybody. You know, the very proposal that we made, host meetings, at least one host meeting per month, strengthening the PAC, making sure that the government cannot control and frustrate the work of the Public Accounts Committee, that we want to be able to stream live all house committee meetings so that every citizen can see what is going on in these house committees. We're talking about openness, transparency and accountability. So I'm happy that the union support the proposals that we made last week Thursday. These are solid proposals that we are going to present within the first 100 days of the new PUP government, including campaign finance legislation.
Now, sir, interestingly, while the PUP has made a call for general elections now, interestingly, the unions have not done so. Instead, they're saying otherwise, that all these things must be met before a general election is called. Anything to that?
This is where we disagree vehemently with the unions. If the UDP government has been unable to make these changes in 12 years, how can we expect them to do these changes in 6 months or 7 months or 8 months? And if they do it, it's going to be a hatchet job. So we need to do it with enough consultations. The idea is that we're going to present these bills and then have wide consultations with everybody from the unions to the private sector, to our social partners, the churches, everybody, so for us to be able to have laws that not only sound good, but also that it can work for the benefit of the people of this country.
The legal challenge brought against the government of Belize by the Belize Peace Movement regarding an overdue redistricting exercise is presently before Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin. The revision of electoral districts across the country has been an issue raised by the BPM as far back as 2015, around the time of the last general election. Since Lord Michael Ashcroft has joined the case as an interested party, talk of using modern technology, including graphic information systems, in order to map out the respective constituencies has arisen. Robert Bobby Lopez, a stalwart of the Belize Peace Movement, opined on the issue of redistricting as well as good governance.
It really affects every facet, every area of our democracy. A strong democracy starts with a system of fair representation. One person, one vote. So the framers of our Constitution knew that we needed to have those constituencies as equal as possible so that the voice representing the people in the House has the same power as every other 31 of the voices there. And so today, this is not the first time. We brought it up back in 2012 when the re-registration was due. And they colluded to extend it another 5 years from 10 to 15 to 20. We said redistrict. It didn't happen. 2015, we went to court and tried to get it into the court system. They said the same thing. It's too close to election. Well, listen, it can be done now. Technology in GIS exists that with the re-registration, you know where everybody lives. You can survey and do it split up very, very easily. Our people are telling us within 3 months it can be done and it can be done right. Now, what is the excuse of the parties? Oh, they'll have to build relationships with their voters. Well, listen, man, if you have to do that, then you'll have that many months to do. We're saying, and this is the first time you're going to hear this, guys, we're saying if we have elections in November, 3 months later, we're back at the polls for municipal. So I'm saying, let's hold the election and let's do a double election. It's not like we haven't done that before. Elections are expensive, so let's go to the first Wednesday in March and hold a double election, but let's get it right. What is so difficult?
As we told you, while the Cabinet and UDP standard bearers met in Belmopan on the political mess it finds itself in Belize City, the unions were clamoring for better governance. In its demand letter, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize wants the reconvening of meetings of the UNCAC Steering Committee. The Congress is also demanding the recommendations to be adopted from the Executive Summary Report and for the government to move into the second phase of UNCAC. The Attorney General, Michael Parafit, however, is saying that the United Nations has advised that the government wait for the final report before proceeding with the implementation of UNCAC.
I wrote them back a letter and they haven't responded. I told them that we have to wait for the final report. The United Nations themselves have advised us to wait on the final report. But I told them that they can come in to me now if they want and discuss the summary report, but they have not responded to me.
On Wednesday night, we reported on the case of the Director of Public Prosecution. While Sherilyn Vidal was serving as the president of the Bar Association, she was expelled from meetings held by the Judicial Legal Services Commission, of which she is a member because of her position on the bar. Almost 2 years ago, Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin requested Vidal to withdraw herself from one of the Commission's meetings because there was an uncertainty that Vidal, as DPP, can be a member of the Commission due to her status as a public officer. The Bar Association subsequently filed a lawsuit against the Chief Justice. Following Wednesday's court proceedings, the bar's attorney, Andrew Marshallek, told the media that the Constitution makes it clear that the president of the bar is entitled to be a member of the commission. Marshallek pointed out that if there were concerns about Vidal, there was the option to appoint an alternate. Today, Senior Counsel Eamon Courtney weighed in on the matter, calling the CJ's legal representation on the matter as unacceptable and egregious. He says, quote, "According to the news last night, the Chief Justice, as chairman of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, and the JLSC were represented by the Attorney General's chambers in the case brought by the Bar Association. This is absolutely outrageous, as this makes the CJ and the JLSC the client of the AG. The CJ should not be represented by the government in litigation whilst at the same time deciding cases in which the government is a party. The JLSC is supposed to be an independent body. Why then is the government representing the commission? I find this to be unacceptable and egregious," unquote. After the break, police seek suspects in the murders of a San Ignacio resident and another from Corozal town. Drivers Kaweke was shot and killed outside his home in Corozal town on Tuesday night around 7:30. Police say that they are looking for one person in connection with this murder, but they don't know why Kaweke was killed. Here's more from Senior Superintendent Gilberto Romero.
Corozal police responded to the report of a shooting incident at Santa Maria Street, Corozal town, at the Kaweke residence. Upon their arrival, they found the motionless body of Angel Kaweke, who had received several gunshot injuries. Investigation revealed that Angel Kaweke was at his house at the time when someone came to the house and called his name. He came out of the house and thereafter he was shot. We are seeking one suspect in regards to this investigation.
Has it been determined if the victim was threatened prior to him being attacked?
We are not aware of any threats.
Sir, you mentioned that you are seeking one suspect. Do you know who that person is?
Yes, at this time we know who he is.
Police say that they're no closer to finding out what happened to Robert Nunez. He was found dead near the western border on Wednesday night just before 11. Cops say he was drinking in Champon, and that is the last information that they have on him. Here's what police shared on the official details they have gathered.
Benqueviejo police responded to reports of a body that was found in Benqueviejo. Police visited the area where they found the decomposed body of Robert Nunez in an area about 150 yards away from the highway. Investigation was carried out, which revealed that this individual was reported missing by his family. Thereafter, he was found at that location. The information is that he was seen in the Champon area drinking with two Hispanic male persons, and thereafter his whereabouts were unknown.
How are investigators treating this particular incident? Is it as a homicide, or are you guys awaiting the post-mortem to find out how to classify this particular case?
This is a homicide investigation we are conducting.
Sir, is there any information at all to assist investigators with respect to finding out what happened to him?
There is limited information. That is the only information we had gathered, that he was with these two male persons drinking, and thereafter his body was found. That is all we have.
Have you been able to determine if he was killed in Belize or across the border?
We are not sure where he was killed. The post-mortem results will reveal other issues as we go along.
Sir, is there any footage from the Melchor border indicating that he did indeed cross?
There is no footage, as investigation revealed that he may have crossed the border illegally.
A robber is in police custody for robbing a grocery store at gunpoint in Orange Walk town on Tuesday night. Police say that two armed men walked into 128 store and proceeded to rob the establishment around 7 that night. One of the thieves then fired a shotgun, injuring one person inside the store. But quick police action led to the detention of one of the criminals and the recovery of the stolen items.
Police responded to a robbery at 128 Chinese store, where the proprietor reported that two male persons robbed the business establishment. One was armed with a knife, the other was armed with a shotgun. During the robbery, they stole an amount of cash and a cellular phone. Thereafter, one of the male persons fired a shot from the shotgun, which hit the wall, and then the pellets struck one of the occupants in the store. He was taken to the hospital, where he was treated and released for the injuries. Quick police response led to the detention of one person who is now in custody and expected to be charged for robbery. The cash and the cell phone were recovered from him.
When we come back, a young lifeguard jumps into action to save a senior citizen from drowning. A young man's quick action and CPR skills saved the life of a senior Belize City resident. Tonight, 61-year-old Ulrich Young is alive and with his family after a near-fatal drowning in Belize City on Wednesday night, sometime shortly before 7. A licensed lifeguard happened to be in the area and rescued him. News 5's Andrea Polanco spoke with Shane Pascasio about his heroic action that saved Young's life.
The man in the red shirt and hat is saving an elderly man's life. He's 26-year-old Shane Pascasio. This video captures Pascasio conducting compressions while doing CPR on the 61-year-old taxi driver Ulrich Nelson Young. Young is seen on the ground coughing up lots of water as a result of the CPR. It's a heroic act that trained lifeguard Shane Pascasio is still processing today.
I don't really fully process it yet because to me, I don't feel to relate to me, I don't feel real as out of all the incidents that I don't take on and save people's life. This one really hit me hard, because I don't really process it yet, mommy. Last night I feel like a dream.
How does this feel for you to be able to help someone during a time of danger, save a life?
Man, it feels good. It feels very good because without this training and the knowledge, I have no kind of be on fret mode. But they teach you in the classes, not for fret. I feel for him, man, and I couldn't make this day happen in front of me. And I know something, and I didn't perform. But they trained us not to fret. That was one of the stuff that kept me on it,
Pascasio says that he and his friends were heading to fish near the port in Belize City when they saw the vehicle veer off into the waters. He says he didn't go into the waters immediately because they weren't sure what had just happened before their eyes. They called the authorities, and shortly after, Young floated out of the partially submerged vehicle. As you can see, those flickering red lights in the background. So he sprang into action and his lifeguard skills kicked in. He says that the cops on the scene believed Young was dead, but he knew better.
We didn't enter the water, so we waited for police to come, and then by then time he was already taken in water and belly was full of water, and so we just wait for the police, and the man just float right out the car. He float out the car because he was already full with water and stuff. No? The police said that he think he dead already, so I tell him no, he's not dead. We need to save this man, we need to grab this man. So he got a wooden piece of stick and try to bring him in. So he was like, man, we need to save this man. I need to perform CPR right away on him because I'm a licensed and certified lifeguard. So I went into action right away and performed CPR on him. And I saw responses that he's giving me, right? So I continued. And then in the video, that's where you see all the water coming out of him because I already performed CPR on him. And then he's responding now, so I need to give you more. And then I start slowly talking to him so he could talk back to me or grab my hand, or that he's listening to me, right? So I'll be like, sir, don't worry, I got you, man, I got you. I trained for this, I got you. Not this one, I got you.
What was going through your mind giving this help?
I just need to make this work. I can't feel this one. I don't know, this one to me, I feel like one of the real major ones there. Out of mama save a lot of people. And the last conk. But this one to me, at the age of the man, I need for me save him.
So you were at the right place at the right time.
At the right time, yeah, I was at the right place. Just like they sent me back there, because we nearly canceled the trip.
Pascasio is a trained lifeguard for 9 years. He became certified after he almost drowned when he was a little boy. Those lessons have helped him to save many lives before. And on Wednesday night, those life-saving skills helped him to save Mr. Young's life.
3 of us.
You were the only one who was able to
perform CPR with the knowledge that I know, and I get trained by the YWCA, so that way I get my certificate from. Before all of this, I actually was a victim of drowning, and the person who saved me, he is my teacher, and then I gained my certificate through the Y, and he was the one who certified me, and Red Cross, and I give back my service right to the Y, right there where I drowned.
Did your personal story of drowning maybe made you act a little quicker last night?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I act a little quicker, because I feel how this man feel underwater.
If you get to speak to this person that you saved, what are you hoping to tell him?
I just tell him, man, just take care of yourself, you know.
Pascasio says that he believes Young may have suffered a stroke which caused him to lose control of his vehicle and plunge into the sea. Young remains hospitalized in a stable condition. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
A man has drowned in northern Belize. Milton Correa, a painter of Concepcion village in Corozal, lost his life in the New River around 2:30 on Wednesday afternoon. Correa attempted to swim across because the Pueblo Viejo ferry was delayed as a result of renovations. Here's more from the police.
Police responded to a report at the Pueblo Viejo ferry, Corozal, where reports were received of a body floating in the river. Police visited the area where they found Milton Correa motionless in the river. He was retrieved from the river and taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. A post-mortem has been conducted, which revealed that he died from drowning. Information is that he came to the ferry and attempted to swim across. At some point halfway, he had some difficulties and he went under, and thereafter his body resurfaced. No foul play suspected.
Sir, why did he swim across?
There was some delay with the ferry, which is under renovation, and he decided to swim across.
There was a fatal traffic accident on the Placencia Road that has left one man dead. Police say that on Tuesday, Roberto Cordova lost his life when his motorcycle and car collided. At this time, investigators are trying to determine what caused the accident. Here's more from Senior Superintendent Gilberto Romero.
Placencia police responded to a traffic accident between miles 21 and 22 on the Placencia Road. Upon the arrival, they observed a four-door Ford Fusion car on the right-hand side of the road, and a black motorcycle was seen partially under the car. Investigation revealed that the vehicle and the motorcycle were traveling in opposite directions when they collided at some point on the road. As a result, the driver of the motorcycle succumbed to his injuries, and he was identified as Roberto Cordova, 41 years.
Sir, any indication as to who was on the wrong side of the road?
Well, investigation will determine that thereafter. We will look at all the sketches drawn and the statements recorded, and that will be determined thereafter.
Is there anything to determine if anyone was under the influence of alcohol?
Again, that will be determined by tests that will be done.
Coming up after the break, Omar Figueroa takes the oath as the Minister of Fisheries, Forestry, Environment, and Sustainable Development.
Discover Central TV.
Omar Figueroa has been bumped up as Substantive Minister for Fisheries, Forestry, Environment and Sustainable Development. The appointment came about as a result of cabinet realignments triggered by the resignation of the embattled John Saldivar. Figueroa is not new to the portfolio since he held these responsibilities under Minister Godwin Hults, who retains the Ministry of Agriculture. Figueroa took the oath this morning in Belmopan. When he won a by-election in Cayo North in 2015, he was named Minister of State in the office of the Prime Minister. Thereafter, he was moved to Minister of State under Hults until today. A number of cabinet colleagues were present when he took the oath.
I, Omar Figueroa, do swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to Belize and will uphold the Constitution and the law, and that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as a minister and do right to all manner of people without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Belize has finally been removed from the EU blacklisting as a harmful tax regime. This comes following a meeting of the Economic and Financial Affairs Council of the European Union, which concluded in Brussels on Tuesday. According to a release from the government, it results from the recent amendments to the Income and Business Tax Act and Tax Administrative and Procedure Act, which was passed in the House in December. Belize is now deemed to be compliant with all the regulatory changes set out by the EU. But Attorney General Michael Perrafeet is not jumping up and down. He says that Belize did not belong on the list.
We never should have been there in the first place.
No, in terms of how do you feel about it? Because we've been
I don't really put much stock on what other countries say about my country. I live in a good country. We should never have been on that list in the first place. And so I feel neither here nor there about it.
Up next, Healthy Living has tips for boosting your immune system.
Come party with us as we celebrate the
perspective.
It can be worrisome to tune into the latest updates of the new coronavirus COVID-19. Even as the number of new cases continues to rise, the epicenter of the virus continues to be in China. Countries across the world are working and collaborating to reduce the spread of the new virus. As a bystander in this process, it can make you feel helpless, but you certainly are not. In the middle of the flu season and in the face of the global threat of COVID-19, it is crucial that you keep your immune system healthy and functioning. One of the best ways to do so is by having the right diet. We get some tips for boosting your immune system in tonight's Healthy Living. By now, you have undoubtedly heard the calls from health officials to exercise proper hygiene in the face of the global threat of COVID-19. Washing your hands, not touching your face, coughing in your elbow, or using tissues for those sneezes and coughs will go a long way in helping to prevent you from contracting the new virus or far more common flu viruses. Prevention may be the first strategy, but if you come in contact with a virus, your body does its work as well. The immune system in the body is a natural defense that would kick into gear. Think of it as your army, ready to fight off diseases that do enter your system, which is why now is the best time to strengthen your immune system.
It is important to consume certain foods to boost our immune system, specifically to improve our white blood cells levels, since these tend to help us prevent infections.
Nutritionist Dora Sutherland says some of the essential nutrients for a healthy immune system are vitamins A, C, D, zinc, and probiotics.
You want to start off with always having foods that contain vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D tends to alert the body when it's in contact with a certain type of infection. Okay, you find vitamin D foods in, for example, fish. You find it in eggs. You find it in milk and sardines, or you could also find it in fortified cereals that have vitamin D. Okay, what is also important is foods that have vitamin A and vitamin C. Okay, these two work similar, since they help to fight the infection when we already have it. Now, it is very important that we do consume vitamin C from foods, because our body does not make it and our body does not store it. Okay, which is why that many people that do have recurrent flus, they're lacking in vitamin C foods. Okay, and both of them you find it in bright red colored fruits and vegetables, specifically tomatoes, oranges. You can also find it in tangerine, limes, squash, okay, red and yellow bell peppers, okay, beans, okay, and most importantly, green vegetables. Okay, and then the main one with the highest source of vitamin C would be broccoli. Okay, zinc is also important because zinc helps to improve the function of our immune cells. You find zinc in a very limited amount of foods. However, you can find it mostly in mushrooms, you can find it in spinach, you can find it in tomatoes, and also in some types of lean red meat.
As for probiotics, it's not just good for your digestion, but also good for your immune system. Yogurt is one of the best sources for probiotics. The latest studies examining the COVID-19 outbreak show that 80% of the cases are mild, and those most vulnerable to severe illness are the elderly and the sick. The highest fatality rate is in people over 80. Similarly, the elderly are more susceptible to severe complications of regular flu and cold. That's because as we age, our immune systems can weaken.
Normally, we do see the elderly with more tendency of having a flu or a cold, okay, because their immune system is a little bit low. Okay, they also have a low intake of fluids. Okay, dehydration can also be a cause of having recurrent flus or recurrent cold. Okay, so they do have to start consuming these foods that have all these nutrients that we mentioned: the vitamin A, vitamin C, D, and zinc. Okay, because the older we get, then the lower our levels become, because we start to consume these food less, and then the way our body processes it is a lot less than when we were younger.
As for the use of supplements, Sutherland says it's best to get nutrients from food, but some can benefit from supplements.
You don't want to always recur to supplements for the treatment of just a cold. It's better to get it from natural foods. Okay, however, if you're a person that has been hospitalized for pneumonia several times, or you have a cold more than 3 or 4 times a year, then you could probably use the supplements. Okay, but it is always better to get it from the foods that you eat.
To date, Belize has no confirmed cases of COVID-19. Either way, start with your best defense, a healthy immune system. It will help you ward off the new virus and existing viruses like the flu that attempt to attack your body. And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.